Hey guys, what's up? It's NineLives. Today I'm going to be teaching you basically a few tips and tricks to make your wall bounces smoother, more consistent, and basically just keep momentum better and, wall bounce cleaner in-game, essentially. A few things to note. I'll link the last movement guide I made where I talk about wall bouncing with tap strafing, as there will be a bit of tap strafing, stuff like that, backside wall bounces. But these are going to be like niche little tips and just little things that I've picked up over time that help me do more consistent, smoother wall bounces, and especially with keeping momentum. Some of them involve tap strafing, some of them don't. So check out my last movement guide if you want to learn everything. Like I said, I'll link that in the description. Also, guys, as you may have noticed on my keyboard inputs, I have scroll up bound to move forward for tap strafing, and I have scroll down bound to jump. Most people should know why I have those bindings. If you don't, I talk about it in my previous video at the start, so go check that out. Another thing, I'm sorry if the recording is stuttery or lagging at all. I've had some mad problems with like Streamlabs OBS stuttering and lagging, and occasionally making my mouse like stutter in game, which is really annoying when tap strafing. But I'm just kind of dealing with it so I can make this video for you guys. So hopefully it's not too bad and you can see what's going on. Anyway, let's jump into this guide. The first thing I want to note is a lot of people, well, when wall bouncing was first discovered, it was believed that you had to like jump straight into the wall like that, looks directly onto the wall, which is actually not the case. This is like back in season 0. People would, you'd wall bounce like that. Back then tap strafing and that wasn't a thing either. But yeah, that is not the case. If you want to even wall bounce without tap strafing, and keep more forward momentum, you can hit the wall like that. So you barely look into it, like maybe like 45 degrees, not even 45 degrees, because like this would be like 45 degrees. You can kind of look into it like about there, and you'll keep a lot more forward momentum when doing this, like that. And that's with no tap strafing at all. And then obviously if you add tap strafing into that, you're gonna be able to redirect your momentum. And yeah, I just always found that looking kind of in on an angle into the wall instead of like fully into the wall will help you just keep your movement, like your movement speed up, especially with like the backside wall bounces. I'll give you an example here. Like if you wall bounce like that, see I come around and then I launch off it backwards. I didn't tap strafe out of that one. So if I hit the back of the wall like I did then, I lose a lot of momentum. But if I kind of come in on an angle and like hit it like that, you can see I keep so much more momentum and I barely like clip the wall. So it's about timing and like getting that angle right. See, it can be easy to stuff it up like that. If you go too close on the angle, you're gonna stuff it up. But if you go too sharp like that, you see I didn't go as far. So it takes a lot of practice and a lot of fine-tuning to get it right, but it becomes muscle memory after a while, and the more you practice, the better you're going to get, obviously, as you do with anything. So yeah, smooth one like that, just looking on that angle into the wall, and I start scrolling down right before I hit the wall. So I'm on the wall for literally like one frame. I just kick off of it, barely clip the wall, and that's how I get those like really smooth backside wall bounces that kind of propel me forward. So if you're wanting to scale a wall without climbing it, which is what I showed in my last video, like this, you hit the wall on that angle, you tap strafe up. That is another thing that is a lot harder to do if you look directly into the wall. It just doesn't flow as well. I don't know, it just doesn't feel the same. So you can still do it, but you lose a lot of momentum when you redirect. So but a way to do that if you're looking straight in is like flick your mouse to the right and left, but this is just a much easier, like smoother, cleaner way to do it. So that it helps with that. Another one it also helps with is the reverse 180 tap strafe off of a wall to get on top of it. Now that movement technique that one is insane in game. Like if you do that, like what your enemy sees, like you just hit the wall and then like do a 180, like completely shift your momentum 180 degrees off of it. It is very, very confusing to your opponent. So if you can pull this off in a fight, like a good example of a player that does this a lot that I've seen is TreeRig. Like that dude, he practices his tap strafes a lot, I believe. But yeah, he's very good at doing the 180 tap strafe wall bounces like that. And go check out some of his stuff if you want to see some really good example clips of that being used. I do this a lot, but I don't actually have a whole lot of clips with it. I'll try to get some more clips with it, because I tend to do other tap strafes, I guess, more often, but that one is like super fucking cool. So I'm gonna try to do that more often in game, and maybe try to get a flashy kill or trick shot off of it as well. So yeah, these tips and tricks will take a bit of practice and a bit of time, especially getting the angle of how you want to like wall bounce. How much you need to look into the wall. Because if you go too short, you're gonna like just do that. You're gonna skim the wall, and you're not gonna like get the wall bounce to, you know, the grip at all on the wall. So it's about, you know, practicing that. That's what works for me personally. I know a lot of like movement players do things differently. These are just my personal kind of tips and things that I've always found help me have a little bit more style and just smoothness and consistency to my movement gameplay. So yeah, it's about getting creative with it, and like you can do things like I literally just made that up then, whatever I just did, I'm not even 100% sure. But it all comes from just building that muscle memory and just wall bouncing all the time in game. Wall bounce off everything you see, tap strafe off of everything. Every corner I see in game, I wall bounce, I tap strafe, wall bounce off of it until it just becomes muscle memory. I remember starting out, like I learned how to wall bounce and I could do them consistently, but like to do it in a fight was really a lot to think about, I guess. And it's just because I hadn't built that muscle memory up and you know, got it down pat. And nowadays, like to do a, you know, wall bounce tap strafe in a fight, I don't even have to think about it. I just see the wall and I naturally position myself near walls and corners where I can outplay my opponents with superior movement. And yeah, you'll start to find yourself doing it in game all the time, in the middle of fights, and just, you know, absolutely finessing people, and it is very satisfying. So anyway, guys, it's kind of a short one, but I, you know, just wanted to go over just what people want to see, just some how to do smoother wall bounces. So I hope these tips and tricks do help you out, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, like I said, leave a like, it'll help me out a lot. Leave a comment, tell me what you want to see next in terms of movement guides. Do you want to see in-depth tap strafing guide? Do you want to see a guide on super gliding, which is a pretty hard technique, but oh, I just did a super glide first go, surprisingly. But yeah, I'm actually surprised I pulled that off first go, because super gliding is quite a difficult technique to get first go. But I have gotten more consistent with it, and I would happily do a guide on how to do super glides and kind of the tips that I've learned for getting it more consistent. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed.